that long day behind you. Good times lie ahead. With company worth keeping, that'll bash a smile in your head. Come on in, the door's open. You'll find just the finest folks here.
Easter special.
Grab a drink, and lend our stories your ear. Cause we're the talk the tavern.
What up, John?
You're always welcome. The talk the tavern. Promising beer and bedlam. The talk the tavern. Music, medicine, then some. The talk the tavern. The song's over. Here we come.
Go, Kevin.
Go, Kevin. Wow. Just throwing it straight at me like that. Good evening and welcome to this evening's episode of Talk of the Tavern then. Guess I'll do this. As you can see, we are down in numbers tonight. We are minus our leader, Travis, so the inmates have been left to run the asylum. Chris was with us, has had technical problems, stepped away for a moment. He'll be rejoining us, his glorious self, hopefully in just a moment. So let's do the introductions. I'll start with myself, why not? I'm Kev. I am the token minority of the show, being the only Brit. This evening, bizarrely, in an attempt to reduce caffeine from my diet late in the evening, I shall be drinking lime cordial. And as always, I will be smoking this evening hand-rolled drum imperial tobacco. And I shall hand over to the far more glamorous Elizabeth of Pickleman Productions.
Hey, thank you, Kevin. Hey, everybody. It's Pickle Lady here from Pickleman Productions. You can always check me on my other brand new channel on Twitch TV, Pickle Lady. Tonight, I shall be imbibing. I'll be rated R with my fellow co-hosts with a lovely Appassimento Italian red left over from Easter and some sweet Thai for this lovely evening. And what are you drinking tonight, Ed?
I am drinking, again, Jameson's Black Barrel. I'm liking this. I'm really liking this. Thank you to whoever left it here. And snacking on some blackberries. Yum, yum, yum.
Are they your blackberries, Ed, or ones you bought?
No, not my blackberries.
And already we've started. It's one thing I'm I only ask because we're spoilt for it here. It's one thing that grows all over the island in abundance is berry brambles. So blackberries, gooseberries, loganberries, sloes, sloe gin.
Sloe gin. It's a Chris. He is back.
It lives.
Oh God, it's so loud.
Accurate summary of life so far.
Okay, so for some reason, my computer has decided that it does not want to restart Skype. Skype has just crashed my computer. So what that means is now I have to use my phone. And you see,
It means you outsmarted the problem.
well, not really. I went around the problem.
We have the technology. We can rebuild you.
Look at what the hosts do for our audience.
The lengths we go to.
Miss and miss.
You've missed
Hey, Toey's with us tonight.
Toey's here. Hey, Toey.
Hey, Toey. Good evening.
Talking
You
Toey.
missed very little so far, Chris. We've just introduced ourselves.
So who are you?
So who the hell are you?
I'm Chris. I am drinking the usual rum and Dr. Pepper. Huzzah.
Huzzah.
Succinct and to the point.
Indeed.
We love it. We love it. All right. So what's our topic tonight, gentlemen? What are we? I mean, wait. Are we supposed to say what did everyone do this week?
Work.
You can no work, isolated, forced to stay at home.
I mean, yes, but I still have to work 40 hours a week.
I don't. It's quite hard. It's quite hard when you work in the bar and hotel industry and your bar and hotel are both closed to work from home. I mean, there's a limited amount of paperwork I can do, but you should see my online training portfolio at the moment. It's amazing. I've never done so much training with this company. It's phenomenal. All of a sudden, I'm like the keenest bastard ever.
Yeah, I'm starting a bunch of my trainings tomorrow.
I got shouted at by my staff the other day because obviously we've got like a group work chat thing, and recently it's become a social coping mechanism for sharing terrible memes and moans about being isolated, which is good. It's nice to see the work team care enough about each other to have all kept in contact with each other, even though we're separated.
Ding! I don't have Travis's bell, but Jewel is here. Hey, Jewel.
Hey, Joe. Hang on, Travis has a ding. Shouldn't you have a dong, Ed?
Why, yes,
Should be
yes, I
quite a
do.
deep sound.
I think we're doing a test.
I'll drink to that.
Don't like this at all.
And Dead Breathing Undefined is here. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Tavern.
That's hello and undead.
That's not.
Way to not scare off potential new viewers.
Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. I know how to speak zombie.
Okay, let's do this.
That's amazing.
Yes. I was in the local thrift store, and I was, looking for child gift books for my friend's kid, and I came across this, and I was like, "Oh, this is great. I'll totally get this for them." And then I read through it, and I was like, "Nope, I'm totally keeping,
Dong. R-Wing99 says, I don't know what all I need to work on anymore, so I'm currently jamming out on Discord voice chat while I watch. Alrighty. And Travis has put up a toast for us. He says, growth makes us all stronger, and we want our whole community to flourish. No, that's not a toast. Sorry. That was the bot.
It's a little
Hey,
higher.
it started out good.
It's a little higher up there, Ed. Quote number 50.
Top of the range.
I'll get it for you. It says,
Go ahead.
quote number 15. I remember the first time I had sex. I kept the receipt. Scratch your marks.
You're supposed to get a receipt?
Keep the tip.
You claim that on your taxes?
I thought they don't keep the tip if you're Jewish.
Or if you have leprosy, right?
If you don't get a receipt, then you give one, Travis says.
Ah.
I played poker with a leper once, but he threw in his hand.
But
I thought you were going somewhere like open face or something, and I couldn't make it work. So I was grinding my gears.
Yes. On the spot, the wheels were spinning in my head, trying to file through my mental Rolodex of leprosy-based jokes, but it was the best one I could come up with. So, from leprosy to snacking.
Eat.
So, where do we start with the topic of snacking? Has anyone had a really good snack today?
well, there was this brunette I had a couple of days ago.
Mm.
Do tell.
Tell us more. We need detail.
No.
She's about 6'2", blonde.
No, that was the one 4 days ago.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else?
I made a croque monsieur today.
Travis says they last 2 days each. What is a croque monsieur?
Just meal.
What is a croque? I'm glad you asked me, Ed. It's basically like a posh French fried sandwich. So you take your filling of choice, which in my case today was some finely chopped crispy bacon, fried white onion, and fried celery. Put that in your sandwich, and then you just whisk up some egg, and then dip the sandwich both sides in the egg, and then lightly fry it for a couple of minutes either side in a pan over a medium heat with just a very little bit of oil until the egg cooks, and then take it off the heat, sprinkle grated cheese over the top, and then finish it under the grill.
That sounds delicious. And I don't know that I would count that as a snack. That sounds
Yeah,
more
that's
like
a lot of work for a snack.
Whoa. You never do
talking-
much work for good food.
You're talking to a guy who is a chef for 22 years, already had the bacon, the onion, the celery. That stuff was already it's not like I stood there and diced for ages just to make a sandwich. I already had that stuff left over from something else I made the other night. So I just chucked it in a sandwich, and it takes about 60 seconds to whisk an egg. One, if it's a large egg, one is normally enough. You're not trying to drown it. It gets to be a nightmare handling it anyway, and it all gets really messy. What you're essentially trying to do is just soak a little bit of egg into either side. So when you cook it, it gets that nice crispy finish.
but
And then you
not
just
like French toast. It's
exactly, not soaking up that much. You're trying to it's just so it gets a nice smooth fried crunchy exterior rather than just being toast and therefore of a drier crunchier consistency. Does that make sense?
Oh, go on.
Okay, Dong. Travis says, let's follow Rwing99. Yeah, I will do that. And Birdie25 says, hello, Birdie.
Hey.
She sends love too. All right.
All right.
Show
We're always
some
down
love.
for a bit of... I'm not sure the webcam points down that far. Some
Let's
things are better
go
left
to
in
movies.
isolation.
Repeat, Chris.
Go-to movie snack when you go to the movies. A, are you sneaking something in, or are you buying ridiculously overpriced anything?
When you say sneaking something in, are we talking snacks? I'm assuming other than alcohol.
That's kind of
It's
assumed.
pretty much a given.
Yeah.
I usually
Are
go
you a
to
popcorn or a chocolatey or like a fruity?
lately. I'm usually going to the Alamo Draft House, so I'm buying what's there, sandwich and a beer.
Well, aren't you all fancy?
Oh, sorry.
Wow.
I like hard sweets that take a while, rather
Yeah, you do.
rather than
Yeah. I do.
yeah, you know it. I like it hard and long lasting,
I do.
which is rare and often these days.
It is.
Yeah, something like hard American gums, boiled sweets, something like that. Because I don't want to be snacking on pounds and pounds of chocolate by the time I finish the end of a movie. But you do find it's a welcome distraction sometimes. So
hmm hmm
I'm a fan of the
Sometimes you gotta just splurge for the popcorn, even though it's completely overpriced. It just
I've never been a
Sometimes.
popcorn fan. I just don't get it.
Same here.
It's sometimes the salty goes really well with my whiskey and soda, so it just has a nice bite to it.
What I like about cinema drinking is that unless you're some kind of weirdo who actually gets up in the middle of a film, you buy one drink. You get a large size one, so it's going to last while you're in there. And then if you're anything like me, like you get a few mouthfuls of drink down, you get 10, 15 minutes into the film, you'll stick a little nip in the drink. And you'll drink a bit more and you'll top it up with a bit more. By the time you get to the end of the movie, you're essentially drinking neat grain alcohol and melted ice.
It's like the beginning of the movie. It's okay. About mid-movie, you're like, wow, this movie's pretty getting
At the end of the
good.
movie,
All
oh,
right.
fuck, I understand why I'm crying so much. Fucking love you, man. We should do this more often.
And you, Chris, do you sneak in or pay the high prices?
It depends on who I'm going with, because you know there's always those people who's like, you can't sneak in snacks. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Judgmental bastards.
Not the kind
Right.
of people who go to the cinema with me.
And I usually end up going with the Sour Patch Kids or like gummy bears as
Mm.
my like, usual movie snack, and rarely ever do I do popcorn at the theater. Maybe
Travis
it's like
says-
there's a group of us and we're gonna share the like stupid jumbo tub. Sure, I'll go in on some popcorn, but like, yeah.
Travis
That's-
says he'll do both. He'll sneak in, but buy popcorn and sometimes a drink. If I'm gonna buy something, like it's usually Goobers for me. Chocolate covered nuts, of course, for me. But
I'm sorry. I'm a hot tamale woman. And for some reason, they don't sell hot tamales here on the East Coast. It's like unheard of. I don't know. So
they used
if
more?
I sneak by the dollar store, I'll bring in a box.
Go to the
And
hot
some,
dollar
one
store.
of the and one of the cool things they do at theaters now, at least the one I went to recently, it was I guess a Tuesday or something, and for $5 you get a soda and a small popcorn.
popcorn.
So I thought that was pretty cool. It was a little bit smaller soda to go with my whiskey, but Doctor Sleep
Just
was
means you
really
get down
good.
to drinking it neat much faster.
Travis says Five Below has hot tamales.
And sometimes you're lucky you get the extra hot.
Jules says Raisinets for her.
Ooh, you very good.
It's really weird. I don't get popcorn at the movies when I go to see a movie in the theater, but I will make popcorn at home when I'm watching the movie at home. It's weird.
Tastes
Yeah.
better at home. Do you air pop or do you pan pop?
Microwave.
Hello,
Gotta get
dig
the movie
cooker.
started. Shit.
Yeah.
Well, do you like your popcorn like light butter, like regular butter, or like the stupid amount of movie theater butter? Like,
I love butter, so it's the stupid amount of movie theater butter.
He uses a spoon as he eats his popcorn. I'm a salt queen, so I go salt. Or that buttery fake snack Jiffy Top Pine kind of preservative salt, whatever that is.
3025 says we always snuck in our snacks. 4 people getting concessions. You're looking at $100. That's true.
true.
That is so
That's true.
very true. Yeah.
That's true.
especially now in most places when you can get like your chicken fingers or like your other things. It's like I'm not paying $15 for 4 chicken strips and like a little dipping sauce. Like, no.
Yeah. My brother says it's a sin to sneak things in. And I say, well, judge not.
I mean,
Or as I
once
would phrase
snuck
it,
20 chicken nuggets into a movie.
Travis says I fingered a chicken once.
it's better than being fingered. It's better than being fingered by one.
I think I saw that video.
They're all right until they're getting as far as the spur.
I think the safe word was cock-a-doodle-doo, but I can't be sure.
Birdie25 says a small popcorn to put their M&Ms in. Yeah, that's good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like it.
Yeah.
Mix and match.
All right.
All right, sounds like we got as much mileage out of that damn question
yeah.
as we could.
I was looking up Birdie.
I'm hard pressed to offer much because here on the island, my local cinema it's tiny. It has 3 screens, each of them containing about 80, maybe 100 seats. It's very old and Victorian fashioned, a sloping wooden dome.
Cool.
Yeah, it's lovely and it's picturesque, but it's very old-fashioned. In the concession stand, you can walk from one end to the other in like 2 seconds. It's tiny. It's like a little old guy behind a kiosk. It's like a stereotype of British cinema going, just this tired, grey old man in a set of overalls behind the till, like 4 M&Ms, 2 of those, 3 of those.
Sounds like time to make a movie.
Like a horrendously grey, like art noir version of Clark's.
Yeah. Oh, we need to, if anybody gets somewhat kind of level of success, we'll go there and do a talk of the tavern from the theater.
It'd be also, actually, there is an entire theatre, like Ryde Theatre. Ryde is the town I live in, RYDE. Ryde Theatre was bought from our town council to much controversy in a government sell-off of unused public buildings because it had been closed for a few years. And a private guy bought it and had all these, it's going to reopen and we're going to be showing plays and doing this and doing that. And then it's just sat there and done nothing. So in theory, if we can find the right person with the right set of keys, we could potentially have an entire theatre to ourselves because it's literally about, I could throw a stone from my front door and break a window on it.
I mean, once we come out of quarantine.
Yeah, road trip.
Yeah, I'm down.
I mean, it's a little nicer than a movie theater.
If we time it right and we pick a weekend when the kids aren't here, I can sleep all of you for a weekend. It's fine. Let's do this.
You're going to sleep with all of us in a weekend?
I'm a little hesitant, but I'm ready for it. Let me stretch out first.
It's all right. You'll be getting a fight over with Ed.
Travis
I gotta
says
work my way up.
A lot of stones in this town.
It's true. Everything is a stone's throw away. We compensate for it with a high frequency of pubs per head.
You get hid in the pubs?
Some of them. Depends. It's a bit hit and miss.
If you could have a food, here's a question. If you could have a food in the theater, like let's say it wasn't overly priced, what would you like to have or nibble on?
Wow.
I don't know. I feel like I'd still go Sour Patch Kids because I really love Sour Patch Kids and like gummy things. Like that is the association that I have with movies.
When I was younger and we used to go to the cinema, you always used to have an intermissions girl, so you'd have all the trailers and everything, and then before the main film would start, like they get everything else out of the way, trailers, adverts, all the intro show reel, all the local business ads, everything like that. And then just before the film started, there'd be like a 2-minute pause where the house lights went half up and girls would come up and down the aisle with the little old-fashioned usherette trays and sell individual tubs of ice cream. I'd be down for that again. I miss that. You can't take ice cream in at the start and still have it solid by the time the movie gets going. Bring that shit out just before the film starts and I will buy it from you.
I remember them doing that in the theaters in London when I was younger.
It was literally, it was like the done thing. I don't know if that was just a British thing, but everywhere you got ice cream.
That wooden spoon, that wooden flat spoon.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah,
it was disposable, yeah.
Yeah, they were really cold. It was lovely. You had to kind of time it because it was too hard, like a brick.
But that was the point. If you did, because they're only little individual pots. We're not talking like a Ben and Jerry's size pot. You know, we're talking half that or smaller. Just a single serve of ice cream. But yeah, they were like concrete when they came out. But that was the great thing, because then you could watch the first few minutes of the movie and not have to concentrate on the ice cream. Get the hang of the plot. By the time you get into the movie and remember it, the ice cream's finally soft enough to eat. Bonus, you got a snack.
Wow.
A few
I don't know
comments
that I would like to eat in the dark. Like, I'm a messy eater as it is. I don't know that I would want to eat ice cream in the dark. I like to see my food as it goes in my mouth.
You got enough illumination from the screen. Just like don't do it during the middle of a nighttime battle scene.
Chris is a voyeur.
The dark. Yes, learn how to eat in the dark. Okay. A few comments here. Travis says, great idea. I'm assuming he's referring to the ice cream thing. Birdie says Cheetos. He'd love to have Cheetos. Toey says caramel kettle corn. Yeah, that's good. And Travis would like a full Thanksgiving layout and a double feature.
Oh.
And Travis also wants to know, Chris, were you talking about food? Really? You don't know how to eat in the dark? But bye-bye, Birdie.
Hi, Birdie.
Later.
Hey, we all like what we like.
Okay.
I'm not going to give Chris a hard time about it, If he wants to watch, that's
It's a long movie, like one of these big 3-hour classic jobs or something like that, or a Lord of the Rings extended edition or something. We'll go for a full English breakfast halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be quite nice.
There's a theater somewhat close, not a stone's throw. It's our Superman. Commodore, and you can get wine and a cheese platter with meat and grapes and apples, and it's delicious. Yeah, it's lovely. And in fact, I really have to put a shout out to Fred, who runs the theater. Hey, Fred.
Hey, Fred.
He only hires people on the honor roll. So not that they're any better or worse, but they tend to pay attention to detail and, a little more, I don't know, je ne sais quoi. Anyway, yeah.
You have to get cheese.
Cheese. Oh, and it's types of cheese. Oh, it's so good.
Travis says a full English breakfast would go well with Lord of the Rings. And Jewel, of course, says second breakfast.
Second breakfast, yes.
Third breakfast. Middle breakfast.
I reckon I could probably eat at least 2 fry-ups during a Lord of the Rings movie if you time it right. That'd be no problem. You can have a proper English breakfast, so you got good time because fried bread.
French baguette, maybe salami, and some really nice soft cheese to rub on there, and that's it. And a wine.
Well, they said that seductively, to rub on there. It's
Just
a picture of you like just
on.
palming that cheese into the sun, just get in there.
Well, it depends what kind of mood we're in and what kind of movie it is. If I can't look away,
kind of cheese. Yeah, I need specifics. What would you go with?
It kind of depends on my mood. If I'm having, like the other night, I had a really sharp Granny Smith apple. It was so sharp, I almost couldn't eat it. And I was yearning for a blue cheese, something really heavy, And then sometimes I just like a smoky Gouda or even a really super soft, I don't know, brie or something stronger than brie, but that kind of consistency.
Manchego. I like a nice manchego, especially if I'm like drinking wine. Like give me some manchego and nice Riesling, some crackers.
Yeah. So you should be able to bring that in with you. Maybe they could provide the cheese and all that, but you should be able to bring your own drink in,
You pay for an usher service where someone would go out with somewhere where they could see what they were doing in the light and then butter the crackers for you and then bring them back.
Okay, Travis says French bread with garlic butter and Parmesan cheese toasted. Then the meat and cheese, please. And then he says, you don't need to read all my comments, especially not this comment.
Duly noted and ignored, as per standard.
Isn't that amazing, though, how just really good bread is just like perfect with so much?
Oh, God. I'll tell you what, actually, cinema, there's another thing I could go for some focaccia. Something like, easy to just tear a nice lump off of. Some good herbs and stuff in there. Maybe a nice bit of dip for it as well. Something like a cool garlic sour cream or something.
And then when you go to the theater, right, they guide you to your seat. And then as you sit, they flip out this large table bib, right? And you can put it around your neck, and then you can...
The arms of your chair fold in like airline trays. Small compartments for dips and separating snacks.
And then you can just eat off your chest, So I catch everything on my shelf right here. This is where all the stains happen. So the portable poncho.
X300.
And then you don't have to look, or you can. Oh, we got lots going on in chat here.
Witch's Door is here. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Good evening and welcome. Well, hello.
I'm trying to find it. Oh, Lady Skipper says, we liked Brie, but we don't go to that strip club anymore. Mm. Mm.
What cheese do you use to end a hibernation? Come on, bear. I'll get my coat.
But that's a good one.
I don't stilt on the puns. Stop there. Let's stop there. It's a good run for a while.
Look at Chris. He's gonna say something. Manchego, some good.
That's the pun.
I do, and I even like just really good butter on my bread with
Yes.
either ham or a nice salami. Just that's
Did
it.
somebody say salami?
Yeah, I did. I bought one from Boar's Head, and it was an incredible disappointment. I'll still eat it all, but I'll be disappointed the whole time. You don't know till you try, right? You don't know. You gotta...
I am actually snacking on tonight some summer sausage that we made ourselves. It's very good.
Fancy.
I'll be right over.
Everybody wants some of Ed's sausage.
I'll share.
Damn right.
I would love to come over just to learn how to do it, just because it's fun when you're working with people that know how to do stuff. So
It is fun. Yeah.
I was bragging about our mac and cheese and salmon earlier today. Wow, that was really good. I'm gonna have to eat after this show.
Now that barbecue chicken quesadilla I had for dinner is just not doing it.
Not doing it. I'm not gonna lie, I've been sat here kind of like doing a mental inventory of the kitchen cupboards myself.
Okay, Travis has a question. Anyone have a homemade snack from their childhood that you still love? Maybe something baked by Granny or just PB&J. And yeah, PB&J, that was my favorite snack from my childhood. Still love it today.
When my grandmother passed away, my paternal grandmother, it came to the sad day where they were divvying up what little personal effects they were keeping hold of. And my dad said to me, is there anything of your grandmother's you particularly want to remember her by? And I only had one answer. I want a recipe book. Yeah. And I've got it. As a chef, you have any idea what that means to have your grandmother's recipe book? Anyway, yes, there is a snack my grandmother used to make for me when I was a kid. Well, all my life until I stopped going over for tea regularly. So in my late teens, early 20s. And it's called Yum Yum Cake. It's something she invented herself. You guys have malt loaf? No. Okay.
Anybody?
It's like think about like a very heavy, dense, malty cake that's stuffed with sultanas and raisins, essentially. So it's almost like a cross between a cake and a bread. It's a very dense consistency, very moist and sticky. It's like a base of that anyway. So it's a tray bacon. It's a base of that with whipped meringue on the top, with diced glacé cherries mixed in with the whipped meringue, and then that's gently baked till it goes golden brown on the top. And while it's still soft and setting, you just sprinkle chopped almonds on the top of it.
Okay. Gotta interrupt you for a second.
Yeah.
When you first started to describe your Yum Yum cake, Travis says that's how I describe my family. Continue.
That's basically it. It's like a really dense, heavy, malty cake stuffed full of loads of fruit on the bottom, with whipped meringue and glacé cherries and flaked almonds on the top.
You had me at whipped meringue.
My mother used to make like a sort of like a Rice Krispie treat, but it was with the the Pops, Snap Crackle Pop cereal. What is
Rice Krispies?
Rice Krispies. So they were Rice Krispies, and it was like with peanut butter and raisins done up. There was other things in it too. No marshmallow, but it was like a bar that was the thing that
Good
I
old
always
tray bakes, yeah.
Mine from my grandmother, bologna and cheese or a ham sandwich. And I always got to make it. I'm talking like from just barely 4 years old. She'd let me climb up on the little step stool, and she had real mayonnaise, like Hellman's mayonnaise. And at home, we always had to have Miracle Whip, someone's taste or whatever. And that was that grandmother's side. And then it was introduced later, and I make it now, as cranberry pecan pound cake. And that's it. That's my go-to. That's what I can eat until I get ill, and I won't get ill. It's just no preservatives, eggs, sugar, vanilla, cranberries, and pound cake, and flour. That's it.
I'm not saying that at one point the British certainly outrivaled or outstripped the Americans in terms of like foods that were bad for your diet. But later
I don't know. They put up a pretty good fight.
when you got a second, go and Google lard cake.
Ooh.
Tori says she used to snack on mustard sandwiches. Yeah, we were broke. Travis says, I remember cheese sandwiches, maybe with a bit of mayo. The snack I used to make for myself the most when I was a kid, I used to step in the garden, pull a tomato off the vine, and just eat it. And my mom would get pissed.
You'd probably get the best one, right?
Travis says, lard cake. That's how my family describes me.
Oh, like that instant group sympathy there.
Well, maybe between the two of you, I laughed.
I typed in lard cake and a porno came up. I'm just kidding. Yellow lard cake.
There's some heavy stuff.
There's something, and my mother, I mentioned it on the show a few years ago, but she told me that she always tried to have homemade cookies and stuff in the house. She thought it was better than packaged things. And she was right. And it's just Toll House chocolate chip cookies. But that's how I remember chocolate chip cookies. That's it. That's the level of cookie I like. And I've had some really, really amazing stuff, especially in New York, but there's something about chocolate chip cookies.
Jules says Australians probably wouldn't like yum yum cake. They generally boomerang.
What?
Screw the rest of you. I'm giving that a round of applause. That was amazing.
Done.
Mic drop. Out.
Okay, lard cake. Okay, is this right? Lard cake. It's like it's American measuring. Sorry, Kev. 1 1/4 cup lard, milk, vanilla, sifted cake flour, baking powder, sugar, salt, 5 eggs unbeaten.
Yeah.
Mix it all up. Yeah. You mix it with the mixer. Couple stages
Lard.
of that.
Take a cake. Get some fucking lard in there. There's not enough animal fat in there.
Shove it in a
Get the
greased
fucking
pan.
lard in.
Bake at 350 to 35 to 40 minutes. Makes 54 squares. Yeah. Not in my house. Makes like 4.
12. It's a dinner plate sized square each.
What does it taste like? What's the consistency? Is it just like a dense
Heavy. It's
pound
like
cake?
No, see, you guys don't have scones because we had this conversation before. A scone over here is like a sweet version of what you guys call a biscuit that you have with gravy. So kind of that kind of heavy and yet aerated texture.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very, very dense and yet moist because obviously the lard has like when you're using that instead of butter when you're rubbing it through, and it has a slightly different consistency. So when it cooks, it has a tendency to settle heavier but denser and more liquid rather than fluffed up and drier like a spongier type cake.
Do you eat just the cake or do you put a topping on it?
you can eat it just as it is. When I was a kid, my gran used to make it, cool it, and then she'd cut a slab up and just warm it in the oven, and then we'd have it with custard.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking custard or homemade whipped cream or even scoop of ice cream next to it.
Mhm.
Travis says Andrea cried when they visited.
Whoa,
Eating
whoa.
one when they visited. He worked himself.
He's on about the scone, yeah. I think
It
Or
was
the
scone?
lard.
Scone or lard cake,
Talking about
Travis?
scone or the lard
He said
cake?
scone. Yeah.
yeah.
Because you had tea and you had the proper scones.
They had a proper English
Yeah.
cream tea, which is scone, which is what you'd call a biscuit, but with sultanas in it. And so you pre-soak the sultanas, so nice and juicy, and then you cut it in half, and it's served buttered. And then it's the great debate, but I will always tell you the correct way to do it is jam first, and then clotted cream on the top. Heathens will tell you put clotted cream on first, put the jam on top. They're wrong. They'll be the first people up against the wall and shot when the revolution comes. So it's jam first, then clotted cream. Any other way, and you're a fucking
I concur. And as a woman, I say, whatever goes into my body is my rules. So fuck off. But I concur with you. Absolutely.
Thank you.
There's no other way. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm not attempting to impose some kind of patriarchal dominance over your right to choose as a woman. I'm not appropriating your culture.
Wow.
No, I love it. I love the fact the British culture has, known for hard drinking, a lot of, good, solid drinking, good jokes, giving you a hard time. The more they love you, the more hard time they give you. And yet,
It's
having a
drinking.
moment in the afternoon
It's
where
good.
where civilized people have tea and then you have your scones and there's a proper way of doing it. I love that aspect. I love it. So
Later on, there's a strong chance that after a misplaced comment in the public house, I'm going to glass you in the face. But for now, I have to compliment you on putting precisely the right amount of cress with the egg mayonnaise in those sandwiches. They're absolutely exquisite, old boy.
Right on.
Okay.
I said, did you spill my pint, you cunt?
That's Mr. Scunt to you, motherfucker. Okay.
There's an amazing sketch. Won't bore anyone now. It's really easy to find that I love that describes, I think, modern Britain in a post-ironic way brilliantly in about 2 minutes. It's a comedian called Bill Bailey, Bailey, and the sketch is called French Thoughts.
That's funny.
Okay. Travis says, what's everyone's favorite hot weather snack, including the accompanying drink?
Oh.
Hot weather snack.
I mean, I like a good snow cone.
God,
I
he
like-
stumped us.
I like barbecuing, and I don't mean I like barbecuing the way Americans say I like barbecuing. I don't have something where I could cook an entire cow in my back garden somewhere. I don't have lots of expensive gear. I have a barbecue that's just about big enough. It's that sort of size in my back garden because we're British. So we get precisely 3 allotted barbecuing days a year, where the weather is warm enough to do so. But I like to do. Your stereotypical British person will always do the same things. It will be burgers, sausages, probably chicken drumsticks or wings or whatever your preference is. That's it. British people don't barbecue the way Americans do. They don't. It's a big with some people. I'm not saying all Americans. I'm saying I have other American friends. You mentioned the phrase barbecue, and they become like rabid dogs. Yeah, Ed's there. Yeah, I could see Ed being a big barbecue fan, being an outdoorsman as well. I bet his cooking skills for a barbecue are amazing. But I like doing odd stuff, like different stuff. Not enough people barbecue things like fish, so I do like I wrap I do barbecue fish, but what I'll do is I'll take a couple of fish fillets and I'll wrap them up in parchment paper and then tin foil, and put stuff like lemongrass and chili and stuff like that in with some nice flaky white fish, and then just wrap them up in nice thick parcels so they're like good 2 or 3 inches thick. So they take time to cook through, and you stick them on the back somewhere where it's, not quite so fierce and hot while you're doing something else on the front. Let them cook through slowly, and they're lovely. And you can flake it open. You can use, if you're doing like salad and bread and a whole spread for people, it's something a bit different. And because I'm a chef and we're pretentious pricks, and you can't expect it to just turn up with a pack of sausages and cook. The downside to being a chef, by the way, and we all fucking hate this, is you'll never catch any of us mentioning our profession anywhere around somebody else's barbecue. It's the, what do you reckon? Are these quite done? And like 5 minutes later, you have the tongs and everyone else has fucked off, normally with most of the booze. And like, well, professionally, I can't walk away and leave this now. It's food. It's in my nature. I have to tend it now, like some kind of farmer with a bunch of abandoned stuff.
So like a doctor.
Elizabeth, hot weather snack and beverage to go with it.
All right, absolute favorite, and this is a little bit of a surprise here. Grilled peaches. I love taking me some peaches and just throwing them on the grill. Sometimes you got to put a little oil on the grill, and the natural sugar, it just gets this crispy caramelization. It's incredible. I don't even put glaze on them or anything, just the peaches. And I also like pineapple grilled that way. And the one thing I'm going to try this year that I was exposed to by a friend is I'm going to grill a bone-in ham or a spiral ham. And you make a sauce like apricot, jam, honey, Dijon mustard, white wine, Worcestershire sauce, vinegar, soy sauce, smoked pepper.
Almost there.
Okay, hang on. Black pepper, ancho chili powder, garlic powder, cinnamon, sage, and ground cloves. Soak it all, wrap it all around, and then you cook it on the grill for about 3 hours.
That
and it is
delicious.
Astounding. I was serving wine at an event, and it was one of the things to taste. And I went around politely, and then I kind of lurked in the corner, and I'm eating the ham. And beer's so good on a hot day. Just nice lager or pilsner.
No, I gotta go mojito. Give me a nice, like, rum, limey, minty mojito. I think that's my summer drink of choice.
Is that with gin or rum? Did you say rum mojito or?
Rum. Yeah, mojitos are with rum.
Mojitos. Yeah.
And what was the other one?
Or like a strawberry daiquiri.
Goes good with my ham.
More rum. Rum. All of the rum. All of the time.
Drink wise, probably cider for me.
Yeah, same here. Summertime apple cider, and well, Travis actually made this a 2-part question. He wanted to know your summertime as well as your wintertime. It's going to be the same for me. The only thing I'm going to switch is my drink. During the wintertime, it's probably going to be a Pinot Noir. During the summertime, it's going to be an apple cider, cheese, berries, and a summer sausage. That's my go-to snack for winter or summer with a favorite drink.
See, summer makes me think of seafood because I live on an island. Yeah. So during the summer, there's a shit ton of local seafood around. All the restaurants are doing, crab, lobster, scallop. I love scallops.
Oh,
absolutely love scallops.
But you got to get them just right because, like, you leave them that instant too long.
Oh, yeah, you don't want a rubbery scallop.
No. Like, and you don't want to undercook them either because gross.
The trick someone taught me years ago, and I always do them the same way now. One of my old head chefs told me this. So you'd start off with a relatively hot pan, not quite smoking, but still fairly hot. Sear the first side. When you turn the scallop over to the second side,
we froze.
We good?
We're good.
When
Go ahead.
when you flip the scallop over to the second side, drop a knob of cold butter into the pan. What it does is it does two things. First of all, it adds extra liquid, stops the scallop drying out and absorbing fierce heat and cooking through real fast. And also it lowers the temperature of the pan slightly because some of the heat of the pan gets absorbed in melting the butter. So it kind of just slows the cooking process down a tiny little bit as you flip to the second side. So it gives you time to test for the perfect springiness.
Nice. Nice.
Anyway,
So-
my top scallop cooking tip.
That's good.
Chris Travis wants to know, so is the snow cone your favorite food to go with your mojito?
No, but that's my favorite like summertime snack. Like if I'm just chilling, I want to go get a snow cone or like an icy pop or
Mhm.
something frozen of that nature.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily suggesting combos. I wouldn't necessarily pair rough
Right.
Cornish cider or something with scallops, although it could probably work.
I tell you what, I've grown over these last few years watermelon.
Dong.
Dong.
Dong,
Says
dong, dong, dong.
popsicles. Hot chocolate for the winner. Yeah, baby. Give me a call.
Do you like them pudding pops?
Irish coffees in the winter.
Travis loves combos.
I've heard that.
All right.
Surely
Maybe-
after how many years now? 6, 7? How long we've been doing this show now? You would know you would think he would know better than to post a comment like that.
Like combos and like bugles and like those sorts of things remind me of the Boy Scouts for whatever reason. Like we used to hoard those when we'd go on camping trips. I don't know why. But that's what those things always make me think of.
I do like a nice Radler or a Spezi or a Shandy in the summer because you can drink a little bit more beer because they're half lemonade or
See,
half soda.
I can do shandies. Obviously, first of all, British drinking culture. If you drink shandy, you're a soft prick.
Oh.
Or the designated driver. I'm driving, so I better just stick to the shandy. But the good thing about it is that I quite like bitter rather than lager, like the proper English beer.
Well, see,
So
the thing
because
is,
it's got,
yeah, go ahead.
I
Excuse
was
me.
going to say, because it's therefore normally got a much stronger concentrated flavour than you get from a lager when you dilute it with lemonade. Although it sweetens a little bit for my taste, it's still got some flavour to it. Whereas I find with a lot of lager, it doesn't matter what you're drinking. The moment you have a lager shandy, it all just tastes like slightly weird lemonade.
Agreed. But I like it when we go to the lake and it's 90 degrees or 32 Fahrenheit, Celsius, or even more. And sometimes just drinking water or beer all day can get too much. So I need a little sweetness in between. And then when it cools in the evening, I'll go for maybe a little more bitter. Yeah, more bitter.
The only time I've ever really drinking shandy would be at a baseball game, and of course, like all of the baseball stadiums around here have Line and Kugel, which is just the funnest way to say Line and Kugel.
You know where that's from? Minnesota. Don't you know? Oh, you betcha. Oh, Pepper Garden's here.
Hi, Gary.
Hey, man, how you doing? Good
He
to see you.
forgot it was Monday. Damn.
It's easily done. As a man in, I don't even know, is it now 3rd week since I stopped working? I can't work it out now, but yeah. Speaking from isolation, who gives a it's when's yesterday? Yeah, who cares? It's a day. It's dark outside. It's probably late in the day.
So, dude, we're
Pepper
talking about
Garden
snacks. What's your favorite snack?
X100.
What's she look like?
So, out of curiosity, and this may be a little bit localized, obviously, because you're all relatively close, but are there any famous foods from your area that your area is particularly well known for?
Elizabeth, it's probably going to be hams. I just live in the mountains, so whatever poor people's food there is chitlins.
Refried beans.
I mean, I'm in Maryland, so it's blue crab all the time, covered in Old Bay. Pretty much anything covered in Old Bay.
I've heard of this. This is like a
100%
seasoning or something.
Yes.
Right. So do you know what's in Old Bay, or is it a bit like KFC, you know, some horrendously hidden recipe?
It's there's like cayenne pepper and garlic. So it's just let's see, what's in Old Bay?
Yeah.
Gary says hillbilly shit. Yeah, that's it from where I live. Yeah, hillbilly shit. You know, coon, possum.
I like a nice possum head.
Celery salt, black pepper, red pepper flakes, paprika are the big ones. There are other things in it
slightly
too.
warm with a like a celery umami edge to it. I got you. Cool. So we have two different types of crab off the island. Nearer to the shore, you got your sort of standard edible crab. But we also have the big spider crabs in the deeper water in the English Channel. They're really lovely, really sweet flesh to them. So we used to make a really nice dish at the Seaview Hotel. Now the Seaview's, it's no longer got it, but it was a Michelin-starred restaurant here on the island. And their crab ramekin, it's like the local stuff of legend. Literally, people flock to the town all summer long to buy one of these, and it's just a hot starter. And it's not a souffle, but it's essentially like a really light, thickened bechamel with crab meat folded through it. But the bechamel has a whole list of allegedly secret hidden ingredients. But I'll tell you exactly what they all are now. Fuck them. Hello, my former employers. So there's anchovy concentrate, mustard powder, garlic, finely chopped white onion, finely chopped celery, very small amount of finely chopped carrot, so almost like a standard, what the French call a mirepoix, standard sort of soup stock base, carrot, onion, celery. There's Parmesan cheese in there. Basically, it's all folded through the bechamel, and then the bechamel is half cooled, so it gets to that kind of. Have you ever worked with bechamel when it's really warm?
I have no idea what bechamel is. So.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So it's basically like a blank white sauce base. It's just butter, flour, and milk. So you melt the butter, add the flour, and beat it up so it's like a solid in the pan. It literally rolls into a ball. Then
okay,
you add
we call
milk.
like gravy here.
Okay. Okay. That's bechamel. And then you can add whatever flavoring you like to it. So it's all of that in gravy. And then as you start to let it cool and it starts to get a slightly thicker consistency, then when it's easier to fold rather than stir, you fold the crab meat through the mixture. Then that's chilled and put to one side ready. And then when it's placed on order, you take an order of it, warm it up in the pan, pour it into a ramekin, top it with freshly sprinkled Parmesan and breadcrumbs. So when the Parmesan melts, it sticks all the breadcrumbs, so you get that nice crispy top that you break through. And then it's served with little fingers of dipping toast.
Travis says, it's cream gravy. Add sausage, please. And then he's like, holy fuck, it's gravy you can cut a slice off of?
Yeah,
Dicking
sounds
it, not,
delicious.
yeah. It's used a lot in French cookery as or what they would call classical French cookery, which came to be very much the European style for a very long time. And it's used as a blank sauce base. So you make it but as a relatively thin, runny, pouring sauce consistency, and then you can add whatever you like to it, cheese or herbs or wine concentrate, or, so you basically use it as a blank template to add flavor into.
What's it called again?
Bechamel, Bechamel. The full version of it's got other bits in it as well. You prepare the milk with other flavour in it and stuff. You can find the classical recipe online, but the shortened version of it is just to make a blank sauce base with flour, butter, and then the tip.
Sauce. Yeah.
Your tip as well, if you want to save time making it when you get to the stage where you've mixed your flour and your butter together and it's come up together solid, when you start to let it back down to a sauce with the milk, pre-warm the milk, either zap it in the microwave or have it in another pan next to it ready, because if the milk's warm, then the rewarming of and the turning back to a sauce takes a lot less time. I have made so much bechamel, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fucking liters in my life. I'm so glad I'm not a chef anymore. I miss it dearly, but and I'm still play around at home enough to keep all the skills sharp, because you never know, and because I love doing it and have done it for so many years. But there are certain aspects of being a professional chef, like the endless repetitive chore jobs, that I don't miss at all.
That's so funny, because I was chatting with a friend on Friday about the inconsistency of this local restaurant in town, and how one time I had their mac and cheese and it was almost like soup. It was amazing and lovely. And then the next time it was really lumpy and clumpy. And when asked by the waitress what I thought, I said, they didn't do the white sauce right. They rushed it. They didn't cook it through, and all the flour was still lumpy. And my friend knew bechamel. She's like, yeah, it's a bechamel sauce. I said, oh. One of the customers guffawed me. Like,
yeah,
that's
another good bechamel tip is the moment it becomes liquid, you are not done. Do not finish. It will continue to get thicker, and you add a splash more milk, and you keep doing it until it stays at the sauce consistency that you want and stops getting thicker. Yeah. So always give it a minute or two, and if it doesn't keep thickening anymore, then you've got the consistency it'll stay at.
Oh no, they stopped way too soon.
Yeah.
You can always tell when the guy who's the chef is the heavy smoker, because everything's too salty. Everything's, too much. So this one was rushed.
I used to get the other thing. I was a heavy smoker when I worked at the Seaview, and my sous chef would always tell me that I'd under-seasoned things. But then he was a massive prick anyway. No, he wasn't. He was a lovely guy, but at work he could be a massive prick. And if you came along and he tested your food, bearing in mind it's a really high-quality kitchen, so they check what you're doing and taste it. You have these guys walking along with little tasting spoons, passing critique on it all the time. And it would always be, needs a little bit more salt, needs a little bit more salt. I heard that phrase from him so many years. One year I got him in the office Secret Santa, and I bought him a 5-pound bag of salt as his Christmas present.
Silence.
Chef's petty.
No, never.
I looked over and someone wanted attention. He was standing on the pool table looking at me.
Hey,
and
buddy.
I said, come here. He just ran away and then came back. Meow. Big punk.
I will be right back.
Bye,
All
Chris.
right.
Sure you will.
That's what she said.
He's going to go make some bechamel sauce.
So yeah, that's exactly how I make my mac and cheese. And then just melt the cheese into it. And I find the best thing with cheese sauce is a little bit of mustard. And you can interpret that however you want. I like using English mustard, or if you have Coleman's hot yellow mustard. Rather than, but you can use grain mustard if you prefer a milder taste or something that's going to give you a slightly sweeter finish. But yeah,
And that's a
just,
depth of
just,
flavor, man.
just a little, not too much. There are these key flavor combinations. Any chef will tell you this. One flavor makes the other one taste more like itself, and a little mustard makes cheese taste a lot cheesier. So it's just one of those. Don't ask me why. I years ago I could have explained the taste bud science behind it to you, but essentially there are some flavors that trigger other areas of the taste bud to react stronger, and therefore you taste certain flavors more if you taste them soon after that flavor.
Well, you can do the opposite too. Like for the longest time, especially when I was younger, couple decades, sometimes green olives were too much. But I noticed when I would have like a nice cheese with it, like whatever I had in my fridge, like a cheddar, it helped cut it a lot. So I could handle
Exactly. And it's why often with cheeses you see sharp stuff like pickles served alongside sweet stuff like fruit. So you can have whatever you find complements that cheese better, whether it's a sweet or a sharp taste. Yeah.
Or an Ed.
Yeah. Next question Travis has. So what's everyone's favorite snack to make for a party?
You first, Ed.
Pickled
Sweet.
something. We do everything from pickled mushrooms to pickled onions to pickled ham. I love the pickled ham spread. That's really, really good. But pickled something.
I love a good pickled onion. I'm a big pickled
Oh.
onion fan.
Cool.
Are we talking like the little silver skin size onions now? Are we talking big chunky onions?
Yeah, pearl onions, or even just slice up onions and pickle them. Yeah.
There's if you go in a traditional British fish and chip shop, there's two things to buy. There's some kind of ancient charter that must, by law, be on the counter or it's not a proper fish and chip shop, and that is a big jar of pickled onions and a big jar of pickled eggs. My wife despises the pickled eggs. She thinks they're vile, and she hates me because every time if we're going for a cheat dinner one evening or something, she's like, "Oh, do you fancy fish and chips?" She's like, "And I'll get you a couple of fucking pickled eggs."
Pickled eggs. What kind of pickling do they use? Like the brine? I get him right when he's lighting up.
Over here, it's vinegar. So normally either a white wine vinegar or a cider vinegar. Rather, it's not dark like a malt vinegar. You sometimes see the old-fashioned bigger onions you used to see. You used to get quite a big old chunky one back in the day. And they were tended to be in a darker, maltier vinegar, but generally it's a clear pickling vinegar.
Yeah, I like that with the eggs, and I also love it, and I've made them when you put it with beet juice and you pickle them. So there's vinegar, beet juice, and just a little touch of cinnamon, just to give it a little. Yeah.
Travis has comments. His favorite to make for parties is beans and weenies, nachos, and finger sandwiches. And then he got on me because bacon jam apparently, but I don't share that with anyone. Scottish eggs and Gary says vile. Love the word. I'm thinking he's talking about pickled. Don't know. But Chris, the question was, what's your favorite snack to make for a party?
Pigs in a blanket.
Ah.
Love me some pigs in a blanket at a party.
Cheese straws.
Yeah, cheese straws. I recently discovered last, I don't know, 6 years, Rotel, and this is horrible, but it's just junk food. Rotel and Velveeta cheese. So it's basically a salsa mix with fake cheese. So it's really salty with tomatoes and onions and with chips. I love that. And I've done it couple times. It's barely cooking. It's more just like heating up.
But it's good when you're drinking, man.
When people are drinking heavy, it's really good. It just goes immediately. For the higher elite parties, I don't do that. But I go with you too, pickling stuff. Yeah. I was reading what Travis read.
You read that out loud. Go ahead. Share with everyone.
Okay, Travis says, I love to make my cucumber and onion salad. Cucumber and onion salad.
Oh, I thought
My
nice.
potato salad. It's like chunky garlic mayo, mashed potatoes, or nachos with layers. And he says, that's how I stir it, Ed.
Got
with
it.
his cack. I'm sorry I've had them both now. Secrets in the stirring. Secrets.
Creamy, salty finish. Yes.
Those were my exact words.
All right, guys, my turn.
But I always love when someone splurges and gets a really great meat platter and cheese out there. Like, it's not just one prosciutto, it's types, and then it's just, it's usually the person with the nicest car that brings.
Among the other bizarre things I've done with my life is fire breathing. And I once performed a wedding ceremony. Not the ceremony itself, performed at a wedding ceremony, at a private home that's for rent for wedding couples near here, like an old former stately home. Really nice place, private gardens, and they had the full works. They were actually a Lord of the Rings themed wedding, so everyone was in like medieval or fantasy or Lord of the father of the bride. Had a full-on Gandalf costume because he had a huge white beard, and I mean he'd got like a proper replica Gandalf staff, like the one from the movie and everything. He genuinely looked the part. He was the absolute bollocks. I forgotten why I was going to say this now. So that was it. Yes, one of the touches they had that I thought was amazing. They were not big fans of wedding cake. Of cake of any description. They're not big sort of sweet people, so their wedding cake was a series of increasingly larger wheels of cheese. It was fucking glorious. There's just way more cheese than anybody there. Like the amount of people could ever potentially eat, no matter how much a hardcore cheese fan you were. It was beautiful. There was like a whole wheel of Cornish yard. That stuff's expensive. I eyeballed that. I was as a chef. I was like, I'm going straight in for that. The moment its back's turned.
And none of the guests.
But it's also they
were
saying to people at the end of the night there was a whole load of like the deli bags, like the little paper ones with the see-through windows of plastic in the front of them. There was a whole load of those and a whole bunch of cheese knives. So instead of goodie bags to take away, people were just carving off huge fucking slabs of cheese.
It was brilliant. Why would you do that? Yeah.
There was a full-on. Obviously, they were rich people. They had the full-on works, hence hiring fire breathers, and they had clowns and jugglers, and there was a tent serving mead, and it was proper full-on. But yeah, it's not a bad gig living on an island. Sometimes there's a lot of that shit goes on over here. Some weird parties. That's a whole other show.
I agree. There is we have a place out here. It's not quite in comparison, but it's still around an idea. It's called the Beer Garden, and it's a German restaurant. And you can get beer, and it's actually started by Germans. It's as close as you can get with American ingredients.
Surprised. The words garden and beer.
Yeah, and it's spelled correctly, but not garden. And they have the Brotzeitteller, which is just samples of meats and cheeses. And for a few years, I've gone with friends, and that's been my birthday cake. And I just eat the whole thing. I bring a candle.
Now a publican, I am a huge fan of making salty meats and cheeses available to your customers because they're the two foods guaranteed to make you want to drink more.
Drink more.
You can have that shit for free if I can get away with it.
And it also helps kind of settle your stomach a little bit.
I'm not allowed to do it now for allergen reasons, and it's devastating. But there's an old breed, or at least not in the company I work for. But it's an old British tradition that after you've done your Sunday roast, which is a big traditional pub meal of the week and at home as well, your sort of Sunday lunch roast dinner, later in the afternoon when your trade had died off and you knew you weren't going to sell any more roasts that day, your chefs would take the leftover roast potatoes in the kitchen and they'd rewarm them, toss them with a bit of rosemary and garlic so they were really nice and crispy, and then just pop them in bowls and they just chuck them out free along the bar. First come, first served.
Oh,
As
that's
nibbles.
fantastic.
The last thing before they go out, if you're any sensible publican, the last thing you do, toss them in loads of coarse salt. And watch the tills go up for the next hour.
Wow.
Mm.
If you think about it, that's pretty healthy, right? It's just a smart way to roll. Of course, they don't give away anything free nowadays. Just the hard time. You're lucky if you get
I love
popcorn at a
potato,
bar.
so
Do
I'm
you?
in. Oh yeah. I think potato in some form is my favorite food. I don't care what it is. Just
Yeah, okay,
give me
there's a question for you then, because it's such a wide-ranging vegetable on its own. What is your favorite form of cooked potato?
Baked. Fried.
mashed.
Garlic.
I love, like my grandmother's garlic mashed potatoes are my
Chips.
favorite food.
Every type of potato is my favorite type of potato.
Yes. I've never come across a potato I didn't like.
Yeah, every time I've tried to do like a low carb diet, I don't last long because I just start craving potatoes after a while, and gotta have me some potatoes.
I'm going to sound horribly pretentious now, but my favorite potatoes are Dauphinoise potatoes. Do you know what they are?
Tell us,
No.
Kevin.
Please go
You
on.
just-
I'm intrigued.
Going back to like similar to earlier, make a garlic cream sauce basically, and then your potato raw, sliced very finely. So ideally on like a mandolin, but if not, with a knife in as thin as slices as you can get. And then you just put a layer of the sliced potato in a pan, pour a bit of the garlic cream sauce over another layer of potato, and just build it up like that. Plenty of sauce between each layer. And then you put parchment paper on the top to stop it crisping up, and just bake it in a low oven until the potato's cooked all the way through. And then when it's done, you can cut it like a cake in slices.
Yes, please. I'll take.
But Travis says that's potatoes are rotten. A bedtime
Nice.
snack or middle of the night snack. Anybody got a favorite middle of the night snack?
Other
It
than
used to be
cheese again.
cereal. It used to be cereal. Like I get a little zip of the sugar and milk, and now I'm off of sugar, so just cheese and apples.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Chris? No?
Yeah, I don't know that I snack a whole bunch super late. I mean, like I've now switched to goldfish. I'll probably be eating goldfish for the rest of the evening or until this bag is done, whichever comes first. Because I do love me some goldfish. So I guess goldfish.
Porridge for me.
Porridge?
Yeah,
Mhm.
quite
Oh,
often.
yeah.
It's quick, it's simple. I can chuck like a spoonful of jam or a bit of golden syrup or something in there just to sweeten it slightly without it being sort of like too sickly or bad for me, so I'm not snacking on unhealthy shit late at night. Oats are good for your roughage, as my grandmother
See,
would have said.
You had to go and throw in the unhealthy because mine is bacon. We keep cooked bacon in the refrigerator all the time. We make our own bacon, so we keep it in the refrigerator all the time. And I'll just get up in the middle of the night.
I'm upgrading our friend status from friends to moving in tomorrow.
I forgot to answer the potato question.
Oh,
Okay, chips. Absolutely, potato chips or crisps. I mean, it's the hardest thing in the world to not eat. But if I had to only eat something else, there's this terracotta pot my mother got from Germany, and she's gone through a couple over, oh my God, I don't know, decades and decades. And it's got this little handle. You set it on the stove and you put it on medium heat, and you can put small potatoes in there. You just wash them, dry them, no oil, nothing. Just throw it in the pot, and you just have to take a fork and keep turning them, and they get real crisp, like the real crispness from the natural sugars, like cooking it on a fire. And I did really, really small potatoes the other night, and they were ungodly good. You almost don't even need butter. So good. Like that. And I guess you could say they're a thick potato chip. They're a thick potato chip. But like Chris said, I haven't made a potato I haven't liked.
Same here.
I love them all. I'm the Epicurean. Even
Get some
vodka.
poutine going. Ooh, love me some poutine. Like fries, gravy, cheese curds. Like you can't go wrong with poutine.
I love me some pudding tang too.
I was gonna say, is that another word for
Thanks for that, yeah.
Travis would like to know, after a big meal, the next few days, they snack on leftovers. What's everyone's favorite leftover snack?
bacon?
If I'm making a sandwich, some cold roast beef from a nice rare cooked, like a joint of beef, is fucking lovely. Like a nice bit of sirloin on the top side. A little of that and a bit of horseradish and something peppery, like a bit of watercress in a sandwich. Fucking lovely. But for generic, just sort of like going and picking at something in the fridge or making other stuff from it, roast chicken.
Chris?
I'd have to go like getting all of the excuse me, Thanksgiving leftovers and making a leftover sandwich where you take like the turkey and some stuffing with some like cranberry sauce in the middle, like making a good Thanksgiving meal sandwich. Yeah.
Do you have a moist maker?
Me.
I blame my kids. So I know what that
little
reference
lazy,
means.
Elizabeth, favorite leftover snack?
What I made for Easter, kapusta, which is the Polish sauerkraut. Thank you. And you you start with bacon, and then you chop up onions, put it in there, and then you have to rinse your sauerkraut. You can't put it in there unrinsed. And then you cook that down. You throw some cans of tomatoes in there, bay leaves, sugar, ketchup, salt, pepper, and you just cook it down. Leave it alone in the fridge for at least a day. And then you cook the kielbasa in this amazing, amazing mound of tomato cabbage. And it's so good for days afterwards. Sometimes I don't even reheat it. I just eat it cold. Guaranteed you'll lose 3 pounds the next day. Guaranteed.
Anybody else out there, favorite leftover snack? Travis said lasagna, and I'm going to say the same thing. Any pasta with tomato sauce is my favorite leftover snack. Lasagna, baked spaghetti, anything along those lines. Good stuff. Nobody else out there wants to tell us their favorite leftover snack.
Hello.
Is there anybody out there?
I miss Travis. He's my favorite leftover snack.
Oh, after a night of partying here, whichever woman is still lying around naked in the hot tub is my really favorite leftover snack.
I thought I was special.
You were in that moment, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And this is why none of us will ever run for office successfully.
Travis says he likes his potato salad the next day when the flavors have blended. A lot of cold foods I love that way. The next day after the flavors have had a chance to blend all together. Yes, Chris.
Salad. once it's been sitting in the fridge a couple of days and like all the fruits and the juices and the natural sugars have like mixed together. And like, yeah, some of the grapes are a little soggier than they need to be, but like that's the time that the fruit salad is best.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yep.
Because it has time to think about it. Get into some conversations, discussions. Bow,
We feel more attuned to it as well because it's only a few basic steps away from becoming alcohol at that point.
Oh, yeah.
It seems familiar and friendly to us.
Then sometimes I'll eat really, really brown bananas, and my mother's just, she can't. She's like, "How can you eat that?" Because I said it's like beer. It's almost beer.
See, the only time I like bananas is when they're at the bottom of the fruit salad for a couple of days, so they don't just taste like banana, because I do not like banana.
Oh, I do. Fried banana as well. That's lovely.
A little brandy on it. Mm.
So, Travis would like for us to share recipes for a good snack we love to make, sort of like some of us have already been doing. Who would like to go first?
I don't know that I have a recipe for a snack. Most of my snacks are prepackaged foods. Or like, sometimes I'll go and get like the lunch meat and a piece of string cheese and just like roll up that meat in the string cheese. Like, all right, there's my make snack is meat wrapped around a string cheese.
I'll share my recipe. Golden raisins, a bag of golden raisins, a can of cashews, a bag of chocolate M&Ms, and a bag of chocolate chips. There you go.
You don't fuck around, man.
Gorp,
30-second cookery with Ed could be Twitch's new fast takeoff TV channel.
Yeah, mine is, and this is actually, my mother told me about it, and it works really well, especially if you're trying to be super, super healthy. Walnuts, cheddar cheese, sometimes in cubes, and if they stick too much, a little bit of cornstarch on it, just a powdering, and raisins. And then if I need a little salt, green olives. And it'll put your tummy nice and right before you go to bed. And it's amazing, the taste. This is what, if I can refer back to what Kevin was talking about earlier, a walnut with cheddar cheese is an amazing flavor combination. And then you can rotate between the cheese and the raisin, or the cheese and the salt, or the walnut and the salt. And you can just play with it, and it's super healthy, and it works. I can't believe I like walnuts.
Pinot Noir.
It would go fantastic with Pinot Noir. Why Elizabeth doesn't get up
with enough Pinot Noir, everything goes fantastic.
Everything goes. That's why I was in the tub. See how it works?
Ed was like, "Would you like to see my cheese collection?"
How about you, Kevin?
Oh wow, I don't know. I don't know if I've got like one snack or anything really, anything that leaps out at me that I'd go, "Oh, hey, make that." I think the key to good snacking is combination. Have some pickles, have some sauces in your fridge, have like a couple of different salad bits, give yourself combination. And then when you find that one left over, oh, I've got a bit of chicken or a bit of this or a bit of that, you've got other shit to go with it. Because I might want one sandwich one day, give me the same ingredients the following day, I'll make a different sandwich. It's
right.
It's that's the sandwich I want now. So I think that's the key. Whatever your core component is, give yourself options. So have a fridge, have a cupboard that's got a few stock favorites, some relishes you like, some whatever,
Travis said, Andrea mentioned the dead rats in your fridge. Snacks?
There are often dead rats defrosting in the bottom of my fridge. This is a side peril of being a snake owner. It's why I have such a large fridge. So there is a dedicated shelf for rats.
Oh crap!
And yeah, occasionally, I won't say that. I don't want to offend anybody on air. People get touchy about this kind of thing.
Oh, go ahead, say it.
Buckets and rabbits occasionally as well, the odd quail.
Well, Well, as long as you have a nice sauce to go with it, I don't really see that.
Serve it up on a little platter. Always make sure
Yeah.
the snake knows not to strike because you're going in with a white napkin over your arm, so it knows it's feeding time.
I was going to say, sometimes you'll want a sour relish or a sweet relish, depending
you know
on.
when they're hungry because they start questing around the tank wearing a small throat napkin.
The portable poncho. That's funny right there.
Although I love and admire snakes, obviously, I wouldn't want to be one because they eat like once a month or sometimes longer. I love my food way too much. I'm eating a meal and I'm thinking about what I'm going to eat later. My wife hates me because, as you can see, I am not a huge walking lard ass. So nature has blessed me with a particularly fast metabolism, so I can eat like an absolute pig and not pile the weight on. So I've taken full advantage of this for many years. It's a good thing. I'm one of the few retired chefs of my age I know who's not large. That's an end result of their career.
Or you're too long to be large. Yeah, there's a lot to fill. You got to fill each leg. That's a lot of work.
My wife always said that. It's like you didn't go through puberty. Someone just took the ball and stretched it out like that.
We have, along those lines, Kevin, we have a butcher shop nearby called Two Fat Butchers. That's the name of it. And their motto is never trust a skinny butcher.
Damn right. Yeah.
Last year, one of them died of a heart attack.
Oh.
I bet you he was smiling.
Probably.
If you gotta go, man.
Yeah. There are worse ways to go out.
Sorry, I'm just drinking my beer.
Travis said he'd like to see the layout at his wake.
Can you imagine? Oh my god! Don't wait for your wake. We should.
You reckon there would be at Travis's wake?
What was that?
Fried stuff. Air fried.
Would be Travis's wake. Everything air fried.
Potato salad. All right, man. You got to step up. There's a lot of stirring to be done. So you guys. Maybe we should. Maybe that's something we could do. We could make sure we have a list of what we want at our wakes, so we can.
Bacon jam.
Bacon. You're welcome.
Following is a list of my chosen death food.
Kevin would have the tiered cheese rolls, right? Mm-hmm. And then the wake isn't over till all the cheese is gone.
Last man standing. Yeah.
Travis says foods you would stab someone to get to.
Meat.
Oh.
Oh wow.
Ribs.
Yeah.
I love me some good ribs. Which is really weird. I hated ribs until Teresa fixed ribs for me.
Why? What was it about her ribs that turned you?
Everybody I'd had ribs from before always boiled them. She doesn't boil them. She smokes them, cooks them slowly, yada, 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 yada. And love me some good ribs now.
Yeah. I agree. They should fall off the bone. You shouldn't have to tear them. I don't mind tearing my beef jerky, but my ribs need to just fall right on off. So you just pull it out. Just like that.
Melts in your mouth.
I don't like eating things off of bones, so...
You don't?
No. I don't like eating chicken that way. It drives me nuts.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Is it the texture that gets you? What is it?
I don't know. It's something from ever since I was a small child. I do not like eating things off of the bone. I can't do it. It drives me nuts.
Wow. Well, we each have our thing. Yeah, just
I guess it's a southern thing because people eat chicken, ribs, whatever it is, off the bone down here, and the bone.
I'm gonna
the
break it.
southernmost point of England. I'm not sure if that counts, but yeah, same here.
I'm gonna break a tooth just gnawing on the bone. Just clean it.
There's that last little bit in there. I can just get the tip of my fucking tongue in there.
It makes me feel like I won that battle.
Travis says him not like eating off the bone made it awkward when I woke him up that one night. I'm sure it did.
Imagine how Andrea felt.
At the Seaview, we used to make a stock from veal bones that took 3 days to make.
Mm.
Was it worth it?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. When we go ahead, Kev.
I was gonna say, we used to take the end result and then boil it down and concentrate it so it'd come out like gelatinous, like jelly before you add the hot water, like Jello before you add the hot water to it, like the kind of sort of like cubey that kind of gelatinous wobbly, and you would literally just take like a couple of dessert spoonfuls of it, pop it into a pan, and in 5 seconds, even over just a gentle heat, you've got like a little bit of simmering beef stock. It was absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, it takes 3 days for the refining process to work.
Teresa does the same here when we have ribs or steak on the bone or anything like that that's bone left over. She saves it, and when she gets enough, she cooks it down and makes her own.
We had a roast chicken dinner today, and I've got the carcass in the fridge, and I'll cook it up tomorrow. So I put it back in the oven, roast the carcass, so it enriches the flavor, and then turn that into a stock with some onion and carrot and celery and stuff like that. And then that and the leftover bits of chicken that cook off of it will probably make a soup or a stew or something.
I thought you were going to say you get it in this gelatinous mass and you get a straw.
Travis is now very hungry. He wants some ribs and some steak fries with brown gravy.
I agree with you about the ribs, but I've never understood this whole thing about boiling ribs. You never want to boil it. Real low oven, like 4 or 5 hours. That's the key. You let it all, because what happens is as your meat gets warm, all the natural fats from all of that and that lovely sort of sinew and interlacing in the meat comes to the surface, and over a slow period of time, that kind of crystallizes and drops back and helps form the base that sticks it all securely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like a steak as well. You got to never whip them out of the oven and eat them straight away. You got to let them just have like a few minutes resting time. Let them soak all that juice back into the meat. And like you say, properly cooked ribs, they'll fall off the bone. You have trouble keeping them on.
Oh, Jamin's here. Hey, Jamin, what's going on, dude?
Hey, Jamin, how you doing, man? Good to hear from you.
I was just thinking about meat off the bone. That's
Of course you were.
Tommy.
Summer sausage.
What about dessert?
What about it?
Are you like a fancy dessert person or a simple dessert person?
I don't know. It depends. Like, I love Jell-O. I'll eat Jell-O anytime after any meal.
Cheesecake is my weakness.
Ooh, yes.
Or creme brulee. Like, Jell-O, cheesecake, creme brulee.
I get horrendously fatty. Like, creme brulee's got to have like a really good crackable top to it, though.
And the custard has to be fully solid, because I know a couple of places who don't cook it all the way, and it's like, well, yes, technically this is creme brulee, but
I know what you mean, though. But you break through the top, and you're just getting essentially a thick custard.
Yes.
No, it should be solid. The texture should be,
Andrea says pie and cake.
Pie.
Pie and cake. Slab of each.
I'm all about the cheese platter. That's it. That's dessert. Cheese and maybe a nice fruit. Just I can have it too. I agree with the creme brulee, a few niblets, but I can't eat the whole thing. So just go with what works. And a lovely, lovely port.
With you there.
Mine would be cheesecake or pecan pie.
Pecan pie.
Do you guys have Vimto? The soft drink?
Don't think so.
There was a drink in this country, like I don't even know how to describe the flavor. It like a sort of berry. It was a soft drink, non-alcoholic drink, and like a bit like a fizzy blackcurrant, I suppose, kind of. Anyway, there's a drink called a cheeky Vimto where you take 50 ml of port, 50 ml of vodka, and then a blue WKD, which is like a blueberry alcopop. And you pour all of those over ice, and it tastes like the fizzy pop Vimto. So there you are. If you're British and you're watching and you've never tried one before, have a cheeky Vimto while you're on lockdown.
Cheeky Vimto?
Vimto, Vimto.
Yeah.
Try that one day. La 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 la.
Travis says Kevin speckled dick.
Spotted dick. My spotted dick is a closely guarded secret, the recipe of which can only be found by purchasing a copy of Steampunk for Simpletons, the world's #1 leading journal on how to get into steampunk, containing depth such as the recipe for my spotted dick, which has been tasted in multiple countries around the world.
It sounds like a novel. My spotted dick.
I think, although it was written for his kids, one of my favorite things I ever read that Neil Gaiman wrote was Suddenly the Milk. Is anyone familiar with that?
Yeah.
Basically, he went out one day, left those moments as a parent where you're like, I'm just going to nip out for 5 minutes to the shop. The kids will be fine. And then shit happens. And you don't get home in 5 minutes. And you're like, this is bad now because the kids are at home. And I said I'd be 5 minutes. He had one of these days anyway where something happened. And he got back. And he decided to entertain the kids and stop them getting alarmed. He'd make up this elaborate story on the spot about the milk having all kinds of adventures with him having to chase it. Turned it into a story for his kids and then wrote it down. It's fucking amazing. It's called Suddenly the Milk. There you go. By Neil Gaiman.
Just wrote that down.
Let me write that down.
Absolutely. I take
I have a
notes.
friend of mine, he refuses to message me on Facebook too often. He's like, I don't like talking to you online for too long because I just come away with a list.
Of people to kill? I mean, what are we talking here? I mean, groceries to buy.
Gardening jobs to be done. Certain areas where weeding is required.
Helps the tomatoes grow.
Okay, Elizabeth, as the pickled lady, what is your favorite pickled snack? And she just froze. She unfroze.
My go-to is God, that's a tough one. But I'd have to say just pickles in general. And my favorite pickles are Clausen pickles. They have the right crispness and dill taste to it and not too sour. And I'm really a sucker for a pickled egg. And that's why I got excited about your summer sausage when you said it was pickled. Because I had a life-changing event, and I know I'm going on. Sorry, he talks to me about pickles. Here we go. A life-changing moment in New York when I had pickled salmon, and it was so tender and soft. It was like a poached egg. It was ungodly good. Yeah, pickled salmon. I'm going to figure out how to make that.
there's a technique in, again, no surprise, French cookery, that uses just citrus juice to cook very thin slices of salmon, just because the acidity rather than heat is enough to actually cause the flesh to cure in a matter of minutes. So as long as you cut it very finely and then mix it with something citrusy enough,
kind of like
flesh will
ceviche, right?
It's exactly what it is, ceviche, yeah.
This one was thicker and it had chunks, and I got it at Ross and Daughters, known for all their pickling on one side and then baked goods on the other. But it was chunk and it was just tender all the way through.
Just salmon, or is it smoked salmon? Or?
Oh, you could get a whole smoked trout, rainbow trout. You could get salmon. When you asked for lox, they say, well, what kind? It was just.
Oh, wow.
And I said, I don't know. And they said, well, what do you normally get? I said, whatever's in the grocery store. And then they laughed. And then they called people from the back and were pointing at me. They made their own liverwurst. I mean, it was just, So pickled salmon.
Travis says he's never had a pickled egg. Pickled foods make him nervous.
Okay.
Well, okay. Well, he will eventually. You hang out with me often enough, you're going to have everything pickled eventually. How about you, Chris?
I abstain from any pickle talk, as you do not want to hear my views of pickles.
No, I mean, what was the question? The snack go to?
Favorite pickled snack, yeah.
Oh, pickled. You don't go at all? Nothing? Not even a sour one?
Pickles are vile, disgusting creatures that I despise pickles. I hate pickles.
Well, what do you expect from a guy that runs from a bone? Come on.
I adore a good pickle. So especially with cheese or with some nice salty ham or any kind of sort of salted or cured meat, but especially like a proper good bit of gammon ham off the bone, Sorry, it's off the bone. Yeah, they're a great. Again, it's just that multi-layering in the flavor palette, isn't it? You have a tendency to have a lot of salt or a lot of umami with meats, with cheeses. With your standard sort of sandwich filler, if you like. A little bit of pickle with that is like adding a little bit of salad or a little bit, it's just adding another flavor, another texture in it. Yeah.
What about kimchi, Chris? Don't you like kimchi?
Nope.
Yeah, sorry.
Rwing99 wants to know if anyone's ever had pickled okra. Absolutely. We pickle everything. With canning, we pickle every damn thing. So it's not much I haven't had pickled. And Travis says he approaches dinner at his German friends' houses with caution.
Well, it's not the worst approach.
And he has had pickled okra.
I have not had pickled okra. I like okra, but never had it pickled.
Just don't boil it.
We made Chris shake his head out. Too much pickle talk.
It's pickled right out. Pickle heathens.
My mother really appreciated. I haven't made a good batch of pickles. I tried once. I did not approve of them. But my pickled eggs, especially the dill ones, she said were fantastic on sandwiches because you got the flavor of the pickle without the texture or the moisture. So.
We said earlier about flavors that made you reminded you of childhood or earlier years. So there's a pickle, like the bog standard to go with cheese pickle in Britain anywhere is Branston pickle. It's like a dark chutney, plenty of fruit. And melted cheese and Branston pickle toast, just on toast, cheese and Branston pickle. That's what my gran would always make as like a snack on a late Sunday evening, We go around and visit her every Sunday, like early afternoon through to the later evening each week. And as a late snack, when the kids were getting a bit tetchy and a bit restless, like, what time are we going, cheese and Branston pickle toast. Job done. Quiet
Yum, yum.
kids.
Yum yum.
Staple right there. Staple. Yeah, absolutely.
Silence.
I've even had I've even, like Chris was saying, how you get lunch meat. Yeah, I've had lunch meat and cheese with apples and this and that. Sometimes I'll just wrap it around a pickle and just go to town on that.
Chris, you don't do pickles. What about dips, man?
Yes.
Just ambivalent towards dip, as opposed to the bitter hatred towards pickle.
Yeah, no, I don't think I hate any food as much as I have disdain for pickles.
I like it. Not just hate, disdain.
No.
Beneath your contempt.
Such raw emotion. I'm trying to imagine what happened to him.
If it involves a pickle, I think I'd rather not know.
I was just curious. I know people who don't like pumpkins or squash, something about that thick texture they just can't
Is this why
handle.
you do the show with Elizabeth every week? Is it like some form of aversion therapy? Like when they make people who are scared of spiders hold a tarantula? Any moment during the show, a pickle could just pop up on the screen. So,
Hey, it's not for everyone, man. It's not for everyone.
There was
Travis
no
suggests
pickle fiasco in 03. My disdain for pickles is much older than that. Like buttered pickles, dill. No, I don't want any of them. It is not a flavor I like.
Wow.
Well, I've one time I had prosciutto wrapped around a green onion, and the onion had just a touch of softness to it, and it was a fabulous taste. That was pretty yummy. Just trying to steer away from pickles. I don't want to scar Chris anymore.
baby onions and coarse diced gammon bacon cubes and leftover Brussels sprouts for Christmas dinner.
Just
you had me
fine.
with onions and bacon.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, the little silver skin, like, you know, what they call like the little tiny cocktail onions. I don't know if you have a different name for them, but they're like the little small sweet ones.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those, some, nice big sort of, centimeter or bigger cubes of bacon. And gorgeous. And some Brussels sprouts. So
anytime I can cook vegetables and bacon, I'm there.
Bacon does make any vegetable better.
It does. It does. And then if you don't know what else to do with the flavor, just throw some cheese on top. You're all set. Good to go.
We cook bacon and we've used belly pork as well and mix it into mac cheese. Oh, yeah.
Kitty Wren says, I know people who've been pickled longer than that.
Yeah, true.
True.
Making a slow but steady progress on most of ourselves.
Working on.
And we need to have a goal. Keep our minds busy during these troubled times.
Kitty Wren.
Welcome. Oh, last drop. Fortuitous. Milked it out to the end of the show.
Are we 99? See you later. Have a good night, man.
Oh, I'm going to be there. I'm going to listen. I'm listening in. Start right away. I have a bathroom break. Okay, Jacob, don't start too quick.
It is about that time to start wrapping up.
Is it 5 minutes or something?
I know. I'm wishing I had potato chips in the pantry.
I forget how far behind me you all are.
Right behind you, Kevin.
Don't turn around.
I just did that thing where I was like, where'd my phone go? I know I had it around here Like, oh, right. It's the thing that I'm using Skype on that's right in front of
Usually you guys put something in Discord or something. And like, well, when I can
I've really ignored it all tonight because my phone was causing horrendous interference with my mic earlier. So
Awkward silence.
yeah,
garage
there you go.
garage door.
All
Tumbleweed.
right, we got a toast. We are all here on Earth to help others. What on earth the others are here for, I don't know. Yeah.
Obtrusion. I could do more food shows. I love talking about food.
Mm.
Mm.
Obviously.
I-
Good times.
I do now. For years, I was like, no, don't talk to me about food.
Okay, closing thoughts. Travis is kicking us out of here, man.
All right. Snacking is whatever makes you happy, and the key is combinations. That's my advice from tonight. I think that's the most important thing: is give yourself variety, and you can put different stuff together and snack depending on mood.
Yes, I would agree.
I'd agree. Before you snack, depend what you're in the mood for. Make a decision and go from there. It's not about what. It's not about if you have pickles or cheese, but what kinds and how many.
I'm going to be very British in a minute. I'm going to go and have a cup of coffee and some custard creams.
I like snacks no matter what her name is. Good night, everyone. Good night, Gary. Good night, Joel.
Take care.
Good night,
Stay safe.
Damon.
Look
Have a
after
good
each
night,
other.
everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Cheers.
We're raiding.
We are.
It's a raid. Everybody raid the dance floor. Raid.
Thanks for joining us for discussion of shenanigans tonight. You are the one thing that makes the show what it is. Don't forget to join us at the Tavern next week. Until then, have fun, keep flirting, and be good to one another. Now, raise your glass in good
So
cheer.
good at
Enjoy
that.
the small moments every day. See your dreams every day.
Travis put in chat later. He can jump on the mic if we want to chat for a bit. Anybody want to chat for a bit? Everybody got to go.
I want to go because it's 3 a.m. if you don't mind.